Hey guys, how are you today? I hope everybody is having a good day. So, listen, I just wanted to come out quickly and share this with you. So, in the last few days, I've been hearing a lot of messages about taking risk, about valuing yourself, about your self worth, about how you should be moving forward, about procrastination, all of these various things. And what I heard the Lord say to me today is that the value that you have on yourself is starting to show. And I said, God, what do you mean by that? It's starting to show. And he said, so the value that you have on you is starting to show, and it's starting to show in what you will do and what you will not do. It's starting to show in your unwillingness to move forward and to move out on the things that he's called you to do. It's starting to show in your unwillingness to take risk. It's starting to show in the value that you have placed on the gift that he's put on the inside of you to use. It's starting to show in your hedging. It's starting to show in your reservations about should you or shouldn't you. It's starting to show. And so if you are not moving out, if you're not doing the things that you know that you're capable of doing, if you're not doing the things that you know that you're called to do, the value that you have placed on yourself and the value that you have placed on the things of God and the value that you have placed on the assignment of God that is on your life, it's starting to show. And so what is it starting to show? It's starting to show that you are still fearful. It's starting to show that you're still hesitant. It's starting to show that you're unwilling to change. It's starting to show that you're unwilling to meet the requirements that will position you to be able to do the things that God has placed on your heart to do. It's starting to show. And so you've got to move out. You've got to do the things that God is calling you to do. This is not a time for you to shrink back. This is not a time for you to be fearful. This is not a time for you to continue to analyze and overanalyze and reanalyze and evaluate and over-evaluate what you believe God has said to you. You've been given a word. You know what it is. You know that your gifts, that God has given them to you. You have the skills. You have the capability. You have the wherewithal to do exactly what it is that God has called you to do. And so now the value that you've placed on it, the value that you've placed on the urgency to move forward, the value that you have placed on the importance of moving forward is starting to show. It's starting to show in your procrastination. It's starting to show in your unwillingness. It's starting to show in your inability to press forward and to keep moving. It's starting to show. It's starting to show. So I challenge you today to decide that you're going to place a value on what God has given you, and you're going to do it. You're going to do it even if you're afraid. You're going to do it even if you don't have everything in place. You're going to do it even if you're not sure of the next move, because sometimes we think that when we're unsure that we shouldn't move. And sometimes in some cases that may be true, but sometimes we may not be sure, and you got to move anyway. You have to move anyway. You have to move anyway. You will not have everything lined up perfectly. Everything will not be in order perfectly. Every, T won't be crossed and every I won't be dotted. But the Bible says that God says that he knows that the way that you take, and that when you are, or when you have been tested, that you will come forth as gold. He says in Jeremiah 29:11 that, that he knows the plans and thoughts that he has towards you. Plans not to do you harm, but to do you good and to give you an expected end. So God knows where you're going. He's planted and plotted out the course. All you have to do now is to be willing to go forward in what he is saying and what he's given you to do. So again, the value that you have placed on yourself is starting to show. It's starting to show in your unwillingness. It's starting to show in your resistance. It's starting to show in you not being willing to take the risk and move forward. You are worth it. You can do this. You can do this. Whatever the assignment is, whatever the task is, whatever the thing is that God has given you, you can do it. You can start the business. You can write the book. You can start the ministry. You can, whatever it is, you can do it. You can do it. And so your unwillingness to not do it, and you're procrastinating, and you're continuously making excuses, the value that you're placing on that thing, that precious assignment, that God has placed on your life and you're not moving out on it, is starting to show. The value that you've placed on the gift is starting to show. Your unwillingness to not move forward is starting to show. Your resistance is starting to show. Your excuses are starting to show. And it's time for you to move out. It's time for you to no longer make excuses. It's time for you to stop overanalyzing and rethinking and redoing and, oh, maybe I need to start all over again from scratch. No, you just need to do what God has given you to do. You need to use what's